For anybody who's watching the video later on, we did an Edward Jones update. That's a separate kind of video clip for somebody who wants to watch that 15, 20-minute clip. I think that'd be beneficial for most people to consume that. And then if you guys just want to run through some, I've got like a short list of things that I thought we could talk about real fast, board business wise. If you guys are cool with talking about, I think an easy one to run through very quickly would just be some stuff that's going on for the pool because this time of year people start thinking about the pool. As weird as it may sound to you, in probably about 2 weeks, I'll start getting when's a pool up, when's a pool up, when's a pool up. And even though the pool's still very cold, but um, I can tell you that the tarp will be coming off pretty soon. And then if you guys want, I will run through a few items. And if somebody wants to speak on those items, does that sound good as a good way to kind of segue over?
Perfect.
All right. So first and foremost, we've not made any announcement on the furniture. So Heather, you want to be the one to kind of announce what we're doing with the furniture and the plans for it. And then Robin, if you want to toss in on this too, because she's kind of working on stuff with it too. So
There we go. Yeah, we have new pool furniture coming. We are so excited. We are going to be processing out or getting rid of all of the um, loungers, the chairs, the umbrellas, the tables. We are just really starting with a fresh new look, and um, I'm just excited. We're going to be planning. Robin can talk a little bit more about that, but I know we're going to do a pre-grand opening for the pool. We're having work done on the bathrooms. We're having the mushrooms repainted. We're repainting the gazebo. Gosh, what else am I missing? The doors are going to be repainted on the bathrooms. Yeah, it's just going to have a fresh new coat of everything and look as close to brand new as what we can hopefully get it to. But that'll be something that everyone can look forward to coming into the pool this year and just knowing that we don't have um, old furniture that's not looking pretty or feeling good when you sit on it. The new chairs and the new loungers are higher off the ground, so you don't have to um, crouch so low down to sit. And let's see, what colors do we decide? They're going to be white and blue. So those are going to be, and yellow. We have yellow umbrellas, blue and yellow. So it'll be very
yeah.
pretty.
Umbrellas. That's what I want. Tables too. And remind me, do you remember off the top of your head the numbers of what we settled on as far as loungers, tables, and chairs?
No.
I don't
Uh,
remember off the top of my head. Was it 40? I thought I had it in front of me here and I was looking for it. Now I
I
can't find it.
can pull it up really fast. I want to say, did we end up with um, 50 loungers and 25 chairs or
I wish I had it right in front of me. I thought I had it and I've lost track because it was in that invoicing we had. Let's just gonna pop in it. Robin, you went up there recently to take a look at the furniture, take some photos. You've been looking at
Mhm.
kind of the most active with trying to get rid of it. You want to talk about what you've been doing with that? And also, it gives the most recent look at somebody who walked up there looking at them, not from a perspective even of, can we make this work? But I think when we were up there and I was watching Robin assess the stuff, she's assessing it from a would anybody else want it point of view. And that gives us
Mhm.
an even better perspective of the condition of that for anybody who's like, what was wrong with the old stuff? So can you kind of just chime in? And I didn't even plan to ask her this. So yeah. Say that again.
I think Rob should be there. It needed some more love. Um, some of the pieces may be good for restrapping by another community or person, but I'm glad that we've decided to give a nice refresh to the pool area because it needed it. And I am reaching out to swim clubs, HOAs. I've only reached out to one once I sent them the video that I haven't heard back. So I don't know if that's indicative of anything,
Mhm.
but I am trying to sell it to get some money back, something that would be more than scrap, like money from the scrap yard. If any of the residents are interested in it for some reason, reach out to us. And we're hoping that planning to have a full reopening uh, event uh, to celebrate, the pool refresh in the beginning of summer. And there will be more news to come for that. And that's it.
Good deal.
Um,
Okay.
so I think I just found it here. I think 40 loungers, 40 chairs, 8 tables, 8 bases, and 8 umbrellas.
That sounds right. I could not, I was like, I thought it was 40, but I couldn't remember for sure. So there you go. So we basically went with the middle ground on the loungers. And then the idea behind it being next year's board could take a look and say, "Ooh, over the summer we noticed we needed more if they needed it." But I think honestly, between all those chairs and all those chair and the loungers, we should be good. If you're waiting for a lounger, get in the pool, right? So that's basically the pool refresh or pool update. That was you checked off. I was literally sitting here checking all my boxes. So
Um,
hit all that.
I will say, and I think it's important to note, because I know we've talked about it as a board. I don't know that we have acknowledged it as a community, that we are now taking, which of course I know Rob, you had mentioned this a long time ago, but we could take the late fees and apply those to us, the social club. And that's the money that we're going to be able to do the pool grand opening. It's the money that Robin's working with for our Easter celebration. And I know she did a New Year's and bringing in Santa at Christmas and did the hot cocoa. And so all of that is being taken out of our late fees because a social fund cannot be used from money that has been paid in with dues. So we are now setting aside the late fees, and that's Robin's play money to be able to plan different events, of course, with all the board having some hands in it as well.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of segues easily into clarifying that for social, if somebody was to say, "Well, are we doing anything social anymore?" Yes, we have social events going on in the form of one, the little events that Robin's putting together with which she's going with a measured response of here's an event, here's something that can bring people together, but not trying to go so high with it. I think one of the things
Mhm.
we learned from talking with the social club was that they were struggling at times to have the funds because they were operating off of mostly donations. And I don't know if it was mostly donations and their money, or if it was their money and some donations, but they were putting a lot of their own money into it to try to get it done, it sounds like, and that that's a struggle. So Robin's trying to balance it out so that she can
Mhm.
do like the hot cocoa event that she did. There's an opportunity to come and do some things. And luckily, she was able to put things together with the fire department at the last minute for Christmas when Santa Claus came through, and she had some hot cocoa up there, and that really snapped together pretty quickly. She's got the Easter event, she's got the opening of the pool she's trying to put together. So things that make things fun, but not um, breaking the bank to get it done. So I've been very
Yeah.
happy with that. And then food trucks, I'll point people to the events page on the Almond Glen HOA website. I'm trying to keep up with the food trucks there. It's a little difficult sometimes because the food truck folks will reach out and say, "Hey, yes, I can be there." And then it's like they'll say, I mean, I try to ask them, "Do you want to come back on a reoccurring basis?" They'll say yes, and I'll say, "Great, what do you want to do?" And they're like, "Well, I'll come every fourth Wednesday." And then the fourth Wednesday rolls around the next month. And I'm like, "Hey, see you on Wednesday." And they're like, "Oh yeah, definitely if you want us there." And I'm like, "Wait, I thought we were sure that we had this." So I'm trying to make sure that we're getting on a schedule. And what I was shooting for was having a food truck on the second Wednesday of the month, which is Potbelly, which that'll be here this week. And then the fourth Wednesday of the month having the food truck for the pizza, which is King of Fire Pizza. That way we had a little bit of a space because I didn't want people to get so, we could do a food truck every week, but then people would be like, ugh, a food truck again. I've seen them too many times. So I want to keep it going enough that they are getting good business. And then we had the folks reach out to us from the coffee truck who came out. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Sorry. But the coffee truck who came out this past week, and we were glad to have them. I was actually going to jump over the events page while I'm looking. Um, and they are still trying to figure out what will be a good cycle for them. We were shooting for Saturdays. I don't know if they're gonna be able to make it every Saturday. This past week there was a little bit of confusion. I took credit for that. That was on my part as to when they were going to be here. So I didn't get the advertising out the way I wanted to. So we'll get some new push on that. But that's the idea behind the food trucks. I don't want to overload people. I think coffees and stuff would be great on Saturdays and then every other Wednesday, basically. So that's what we're doing as far as social right now. Unless Robin, is there anything else you want to speak to on social stuff, or did I pretty much hit it all?
That's pretty much it. I did reach out to a Korean barbecue truck. It's been down in Pineville, and the food is so amazing, but it has minimums. I'm a little
Hmm.
nervous. I'm not sure if we would hit the minimums, but it would be nice to have. We can discuss this, but to have food trucks of different, international variety, and
Mhm.
even if it's like once in a while, maybe, uh, but with the food trucks, the biggest thing is knowing who will stop by the food truck so that they can make, so that coming out to our community is worthwhile.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Potbelly, he's been, you know, really just cool about, hey, it's cold, I get it, we're not getting a lot of business, but it's, I could be sitting nowhere doing nothing. So he's been kind enough to come up here and, it seems like he's getting a decent amount of business when I talk with him. It's not gonna make his food truck stay in business, but it's been good enough for him. And the food is good and he's quick. And then with King of Fire Pizza, of course, you can pop up at the last minute, but you're gonna wait a while. Whereas, if you schedule in advance with them, I have in the past had food trucks say, same thing, like, well, yeah, we'd love to come out. We need a $400 minimum, whatever it is, and but then there's for everyone that wants that, there's another two trucks who are perfectly happy to come out for no minimum. So I personally have tried to steer us towards those. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think if you got a big event and you're going to have a lot of people up at the pool or something, it can be pretty easy to hit your minimums with those. So I think that's where you'd be able to pull those in. Um, and then let's see, let's just gonna make sure there's nobody in the lobby while I'm talking. All right, so if we can do it in a expedient amount of time that's reasonable, it's only 7:35. Matt, how do you feel about talking about the townhome roofs? And this would just be a discussion about here's where we are with the roofs, here's how we got here. Um, the most expensive repairs we've had to take care of up there that's led to the making the decisions that we made as far as like the roofs. Are you in a position where you feel comfortable running through some of that?
Yeah, I am.
Defer to you
Um,
then.
so back in October, kind of right after I joined the board, Hurricane Helene came through and took off several of the shingles on three buildings, more than any other. It was building 8, building 9, and building 12, which, if you don't know the numbers, it's one of the buildings on Burke Hill and two of the buildings on Lanark. Um, Went back and forth with insurance for months, and that resulted in us not being able to meet our deductible. So insurance didn't cover anything. But looking at the reserves, we were already scheduled to begin roof replacement in 2 years. So we have had the ability to do it now, which is what we did. So we price shopped. The first people that we looked at was AmeriPro, who worked with us with the insurance company, and they came in at a quote of $88,000, which was slightly above what our reserve fund had anticipated. And then we also got a quote from Carolina Roof Consultants, who did the roofs back in 2022. They did a very good job. We haven't had any major issues since. I think there was a couple caps that needed to be replaced back when those roofs were replaced. So we knew the work was good. And their quote came back at $60,000, which is what we went with. That occurred 2 weeks ago now. And the original plan was for them to be out here for 2 days. They were able to finish it in one, which was amazing. We've had a couple storm events since and haven't gotten any complaints about any leaks. Nobody's noticed anything. There was, I believe, one damaged light, which they've replaced. And they also came back and took out two satellite dishes that were not in use, and the residents didn't want them anymore. So we're very happy and saved some money on the reserves. I believe the reserves had us at $83,000 was anticipated for the roofs, and we spent 60, so that's awesome. Going forward, we have the next couple roofs that would be age-wise. Maxing out would be the two that are left on Burkill, which I believe are buildings 7 and 6, and then building 4 on Lanark is the last one. We have the ability, since we've already started, to just continue pushing the anticipated replacement time ahead 2 more years. So depending on what the next couple boards do, the next roof replacements would be in the next 2 years. And then another round after that in 2 more years.
So every 2 years,
Every 2 years. And then these shingles are GAF Timberline HDZ, which are install warranty was 5 years, and it has a limited lifetime warranty. They're technically lifetime shingles, but the roofers told us to anticipate replacing them every 30 years, just because of the weather in South Carolina. So they're 30-year shingles.
that feels good.
Yes. Compared to what we had on before, which were 15, 20-year shingles.
Builder grade.
Yes.
One question, you mentioned the satellite dishes. You said that they came out and took 2 more off. Had they already installed them back on the new roof and then taken them off?
No,
Okay,
no, these were ones that they just took off. So they're not able, this was something that came up and it was in the notice that went out. They're able to take them off the roof. They're not able to put them back on because they have to be calibrated. They have to be pointing a specific direction in order to get the signal. So they left them on the ground.
Okay, well, that's better than putting them on and then having to take them back off because then you got holes, and
Exactly.
very few people have used satellite dishes anymore.
I actually noticed after they were done, there was one of their people had this wheeled thing with a magnet, and he was diligently going around picking up nails too. I didn't know people did that, but I thought that was very nice. Won't be stepping on them or driving over them.
Yeah, it's extremely helpful for just people walking around the neighborhood, and everybody's got dogs that walk up and down, so it's extra safety. We're really happy with them. Any more questions?
Do you want to talk about the other work that we have going on? I'm so excited about townhouses. We're getting a lot done.
I got a little,
Yeah.
I was gonna transition to that. Let me make sure I got a little sidetracked for a second there. Did you talk about the damages that we had to the one home that we had to take care of and the cost of that? Was that covered?
No.
I think we should
So
include that because when people are looking, they're like, why would you go spend all this money on new roofs right away? So if you could.
yeah, so during the months and months that we were working with insurance on getting the claim, we had another storm event in between, which ended up causing a leak in the house, and it was a huge leak. It came down. You could see this, the not the posts. That's not the right word, but you could see the posts in the ceiling. Water was coming through the light fixture. It was all over the carpet, going down the stairs. Was not a good situation. So we also added that to the insurance claim, which we're still fighting with them on lumping it in as the same insurance claim. Because we brought it up during the original claim. So it's just a whole lot of back and forth trying to get it. I don't know what the exact numbers are off the top of my head. Robin, do you know general ballpark? Or Heather?
Um, I don't want to misspeak.
It's around 13 to 15,000. Might be just under 15 for the water mitigation, then for the repairs in the home.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
with that said, well, Rob, how much do you want to talk about this? Because
I
with
think
that said,
yeah, I think as long as I don't want to put anybody's name out there to bring any undue on
yeah,
anybody, but yeah, feel free to talk about, the costs that you were looking at, the contractors, the fact that you had to go through so much because it could have been way worse. It was bad, but I think it just further highlights like this is what happens because these roofs have gotten so bad over the years. And go ahead.
I'll say going forward, if there's that kind of damage in your home, in a town home, the board should be notified immediately. And if the board doesn't respond immediately, we should be harassed, because the longer it sits, the worse it gets. So the water mitigation itself was around, I want to say 3,200, and then the repairs, if we went with the same company that did the water mitigation, it would have been a little over 13,000, and that was too much because at the end of the day, we have to utilize the townhome funds responsibly. So we were able to have a general contractor come in and perform the same work for about 25 to 30% less, if my math is correct in my head. And what we didn't realize is that we spoke with our insurance company, but the homeowner did not speak with their insurance company. And it needs to be understood that the board is responsible for the exterior of the home. We cannot prevent acts of God. And if, again, it's best that the homeowner files his or her homeowner's insurance, and the board files their insurance, because this cost, although we took on the responsibility for it, we did a little bit more than we anticipated, a lot more than we anticipated. But there has to be full cooperation beyond just receiving all this work is the best way forward, because we need to be able to, as you said earlier, Ross, say this is why we did all this work for this one home. And but that's the I just want to make sure it's on record. If this were to happen again, both parties, HOA and the homeowner, need to contact their insurance company, as quickly as practical.
Yeah, and to give some historical reference on that for anybody who'd be like, wait, what, why now? What happened before? Historically speaking, if there was a leak that occurred to the exterior of the home, the interior received some damage from that leak and it was reported very quickly. Every board, I believe even last year's board, I wasn't part of last year's board, but I believe every board has always been quick to step in and say, hey, you had a roof leak. That's our responsibility from the HOA perspective. The water got inside, it caused damage. We'll take care of the interior. We've done that for years. I've never seen a bill over a couple $1,000s come in for repairs on the inside. And that's, I think as a town homeowner, you're paying dues, you're making sure things are getting done. There's reserves, there's money there for repairs, and you kind of expect that. However, we've now seen that happen. So yes, I think the policy of the board moving forward will be somebody reaches out and says, I have damage to the inside of my home due to a roof leak. We'll say, great, contact your insurance company and we'll start working on that roof. And yeah, I agree 100%.
it is also, having dealt with the insurance companies for these roofs for about 6 months,
Yeah.
it is always better for insurance companies to fight with other insurance companies because that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's no fault of the current homeowner. And I think, the way things have been done over the years, I think every single town homeowner would have a reasonable expectation of, there's damage to the inside of my home. You guys will take care of it, right? Because it's came from the outside. But like Robin pointed out, we acts of God that just, the roof is fine. There's no leak. It rained yesterday. Tomorrow it rains really hard. Now your roof is starting to leak. You're putting a lot on us to say, well, it's always our responsibility and your neighbor's responsibility because it's the cost of the bill divided by 64. Well, yeah, so one portion of it being your 64. So 63 other people's money, which is, I think it was the right thing to do in this case. And Robin worked really hard on getting that bill as low as possible. And Matt has worked extremely hard on getting everything organized with it. Heather has worked harder than she's had, should have had to just get the money in the places it needed to be. And everybody's been doing a lot on that. So you guys really did a good job. So
Thank you.
I think that covers the
There's
roofs. What's
one more,
that?
one more thing I'd like to mention
Yeah.
on that is I think to keep in mind that the townhomes are aging. They're getting older. Our community is getting older. And so the money that we have in the reserves, I think for the longest time, we didn't have big projects that were going on. We didn't have big amounts of money that were being pulled out for um, a lot of the different projects that we need now. And one of the reasons I think that this repair ran extra has to do with not only the age of the outside of the roof, but on the inside where it leaked, the carpet was older, the paint was older, where it might have matched up a few years ago, maybe, several years ago, but it's not matching up now. So we had to go in and be able to connect for the homeowner new flooring, not just in the room that was damaged, but anything that it connected to. And so that's just something to keep in mind why we're paying more for a lot of these maintenance bills and more money coming out of our reserves is just that we're becoming an aged community. So there's just more maintenance that needs to be done, and that maintenance is more expensive.
Very good point. Good way to put it. And segues us into maintenance on the townhomes that are planned. So I may go in and clip. I'll probably post the whole board meeting, and then I may clip these into some segments. And I'll do Edward Jones, and then I'll put a roof segment out so people can just watch the portions that might be interesting. So now talking about maintenance at the townhomes. If you guys want to go over the plans for that, and I think I'm going to start with this. We got a lot of pushback from people who are saying essentially, I have this problem. Can you come fix it? And if it's a one-off deal, like, insert exterior home item here, and it's something that needs to be fixed, and we don't have 20 other homes that need it, well, it's not really a big deal to come get you fixed right away. But if you're one of 20, 30 homes that need these same similar repairs, it's easier for us to plan in bulk. I know that's not convenient, but it is part of that attached home living lifestyle. That it's somebody else's money. It's your money, but it is a part of a group. If you need a new doorbell and it costs 64 cents, you paid 1 penny of it. 63 cents come from your neighbors. So we need to make sure we're getting it for as cheap as possible. So if we can get it for 30 cents, if we buy 40 light or doorbells, that's what we're going to do. So saves you money overall. So with that said, if you guys want to slide over into talking all about townhome maintenance.
So I made a post, I believe it was Saturday. We are beginning, or we've already begun, and are continuing pressure washing for the townhomes. I don't believe they were able to do it today with the rain, so it will pick up again tomorrow, and believe he will start at that last Broughton building and then works in order. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the order and I can't find the post, but it's on that post that I made. Basically working from Broughton down Lanark and then the Burke Hill homes last. It's going to take a couple days to do because I believe it's a small crew. And then that is going to segue into the next townhome reserve item, which is the trim, painting, and repairs. So anything that is wood on the outside of the townhomes, which is door frame on the outside, there is window frames, there's random wood pieces for every, I want to say third townhome has a different wood configuration. That's all going to get painted. If there's seals where it seals to the building, that's going to be resealed. And then if there's dry rot or regular rot, that wood will be removed and replaced and then painted. And that's, I don't know what order that's going to be in. I imagine it's going to be a similar order to the pressure washing, but it's going to happen very shortly after the pressure washing so it doesn't get dirty from pollen. Any questions?
I had the building order for the power washing, but I don't know if everybody knows their building numbers. It wasn't by addresses. So
I know I put addresses on the Facebook post.
yeah, I was just looking at our group text.
I found it and I was trying to post it into this chat here, but I can basically give an overview of your message. Pressure washing will continue for the townhomes as part of the townhome maintenance plan for 2025, starting Monday and continuing over several days. It's important that we are prepared and do all the following steps below so that our personal property is protected and we are ready for the service without any interruption. Please make sure you have all windows and doors shut and deadbolted, create a tight seal, keep them locked until the entire project's complete, bring in all items. Furniture can be out, but cannot be leaned against the building. Fences must be open. The work order be completed as follows. Building 13, which is 7,001 to 7,013 Broughton Lane. Building 12, which is 9,000. Hang on a second here. I lost my page because somebody's trying to call me. Oop, there we go. Building 12, which is 9,025, 9,045 Lanark Lane. Building 11, which is 9,001 to 9,021 Lanark Lane. Building 10, which is 8991 to 99 or 8995 Lanark. Building 9, which is 8984 to 8996 Lanark. Building 1, which is 2704 to 2724 Dunrobin. Building 5, 2628 to 2640 Dunrobin Place. Building 2, 2604 to 2624 Dunrobin Place. Building 6, 2801, 2813 Burke Hill Lane. Building 7, 2817 to 2837 Burke Hill Lane. Building 8, 2812 to 2824 Burke Hill Lane. If your building is not listed, it has already been pressure washed. And I have a newfound respect for anybody who grew up in the north or anywhere it snowed, for the guys who read the school closings for the morning. That just changed my life. So that was the base of your post, Matt, and I'm gonna try to get that up on the website for you now. I apologize. I saw your messages earlier. That's just some days I just don't have it, but that was a good post.
I basically copied and pasted the one from 2022.
Perfect.
Did you, Rob, have a planned segue into anything else next, or do you want to talk about the new trash pickup?
Oh, I do
That
have
is
the next
Go ahead.
townhome stuff as well.
Yep.
So we are still looking at drainage issues. I am meeting with Yellowstone on Friday to discuss the trench drains that were installed and a couple of drainage issues that have occurred due to the new grass that went in, and see plans to correct that. And they're also trying to find contractors still for the drainage issues that we've been emailed about up to December 31st. And we received, I believe it was like 5 different emails. And I've walked and looked at all of them. And we have somewhat of a plan. We've got a plan. It's just a matter of finding the right contractor. Um, so we haven't forgotten. We're still working on it.
I will mention, I think that it feels like we've been working on this for a long time, and maybe to some people it might not feel like we're making really quick headway or as fast as what maybe some of the townhouse owners would hope that we would have gotten to it. And obviously, there's a lot more dynamics that go into running the community than just, oh, this needs to be fixed, like let's schedule and get it fixed next week. A lot of what was part of the holdup anyway was getting through the end of the year financially. There was a lot of funds that had been spent earlier in 2024, and just in order to balance out the money that was being spent, we were trying to collect really all the data that we needed to give individual townhouse owners the opportunity through December 31st to let us know if they had drainage issues. So again, that those could all be taken care of at once. And then also we had to wait for the CDs to cash out in February for those items that were having being pulled from reserves. So there was a little bit of a holdup there of just being able to make that money accessible. But I just hope and please understand that we have, as a board, have been really working. We've been putting a lot into making all of these things happen. It hasn't been that we've just sort of been trying to kick the can down the road. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that we've been on it. It's just taken time, and we promise that we're getting to everything. And that's why I'm so excited about spring, because we're getting a lot of things done here in a very short period of time now that we've got ourselves all teed up.
Yeah. Did let's see. So what was the next thing we were going to talk about? Dumpsters? Is that right? We didn't talk about dumpsters, did we? You said something about the dumpsters, and
I haven't brought dumpsters up yet.
was pulling up. Cool. So, you want to jump on the dumpsters thing? You worked on trying to get that sorted out, Heather, and finally came up with an idea and a plan, and then you made a contact, and finally I got the contact connections, and we're in that process now. So go ahead and feel free.
Okay. Well, last, I think it was October when we were having so many issues with the dumpsters not being picked up. They had switched companies. One had been bought out. Berries that we had been using was bought out by Waste Connection. And there was a lot of, I guess, just transfer issues with them. And that's where, I don't know, what was it, 3 weeks or something, we were having um, no pickups. And at that point, I reached out, got quotes from several different waste companies. One of them would match the same price as what we had been paying with berries. At the time, Waste Connection did get themselves, after we got everything picked back up, they got us on a regular schedule, sort of gave them the grace of making the transfer of ownership from berries to obviously the new company of Waste Connection. And at that point, they were doing fine. I don't believe that we've had any problems with them since, as far as the townhomes are concerned, with their pickups. However, January 1st, they did raise their prices. And at that point, I want to say it was, I don't know the figures exactly. I want to say it was about $125 a month increase. So it was quite sizable. We went back to let's see, who did we decide on? Active Waste. We went back to Active Waste. They had given us a quote. They still would guarantee or back up the original quote that they gave us in October for that same price that we had been paying. And so Rob is connecting us to that contract. I thought that was actually already solidified to start. I couldn't remember if it was March, April 1st or
April 1st should be the swap over right at the end of the month. We needed to kind of get things organized as far as swap out the when I reached out to, remind me again, what was the young lady's name? over at Active Waste? Do you remember?
Lindsay?
Sounds right. Yes, Lindsay. When I reached out to Lindsay, I told her, my only concern is I need to make sure we get the swap. And she said the date doesn't matter. The day that we start, we actually put it in place with you guys, will be our start for payment and all that. And Barry's is, well, Waste Connection is supposed to be picking up towards the end of the month, and then they'll give us a final on that. So we should, if all the stars align, I feel it wouldn't surprise me tomorrow if somebody said, "Hey, there's no dumpsters up here anymore," and Waste Connection had collected their dumpsters randomly in the middle of the night. But I
I would
feel
be the
very
first.
strongly,
I would be the
yeah,
first to let you know.
and that's the good side of it. If Matt walks up there and he's looking at empty dumpster spaces, I feel very confident that Lindsay will have new dumpsters in place within a very short period of time, probably hours. I feel comfortable with that. So,
She's
um,
very responsive and
yeah.
just a lot like Neil. I mean, I feel like every time I reach out to her, she like literally responds within moments. So,
And did you talk about the caveat that we put in place as far as the contract?
no, go ahead.
So that's my one pet peeve about a contract. So we get when you just go to a company, you say, "Hey, give me a contract. I'm an HOA." They say, "Absolutely." And it's kind of like if you walked in and you said, "I'm thinking about having a party," and they go, "How many people will be coming to the party?" 50 guests. It's going to have tables, food, maybe a little bit of dancing, DJ music, stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, that sounds wonderful." Birthday, and you're like, "Wedding." And they're like, "Wedding?" Everything goes up in price. You're locked in. It gets expensive. So same thing with our contracts. You tell me you have an HOA contract you want, and like a management company comes in and they bury you in small print that nobody reads, and then you pay for it later. So when we were given an active waste contract, the only thing I didn't like was it was a 3-year locked in plan. And of course, you can get out of it if there's a problem. But most people don't know about right to restore, which is um, I don't like this. And you go to the company and you say, I don't like this. And they go, great, give us a chance to fix it. And they fix it for 2 days and that's it. They've restored. And 2 days later, you have the same problem. You go, hey, same problem. They go, new problem. Am I kind of hitting it right there, Robin, with your legal background and knowledge? She's still there.
Sorry, I had to get myself off mute. Yep, that's right. It just becomes a cycle.
Yep. Yep. You chase your tail. So I do not like contracts like that because I know enough about contracts to know that right to restore will get us. So what I've said to Active Waste is I don't think it'd be in our best interest. It'd be better for us to stay with a more expensive company that we know what we got than to go to a new company and you are great for the first 6 months. So they agreed to a 30-day out with no cause. So we can at any point say, we don't like your service. We're done with your contract. We want out in 30 days. That puts the, and I told her, I was like, that puts the incentive on you to provide good service and to always keep us happy because we can leave at any point. They agreed to that with practically no pushback. And essentially what we did is we locked them into a 3-year pricing contract with us, as opposed to them locking us into a 3-year contract where we get a price we want, and maybe the service is bad. So I think that's better for us as a community. And because of that, I was super pleased and happy to sign that contract. So
And I
we'll, yeah, go ahead.
the second year, obviously the first year is going to maintain, I think it was what, 742 a month for pickups, the same as we've had previously with Waste Connection and Berries before that. But the second year in the contract, I want to say it goes up to 800 and maybe 25 or something similar to that, which is still a lower price for the second year with active waste than what we were walking into this year with Waste Connection for the amount that they had raised it as January 1st. So truly for the next 24 months or, well, the remaining of 2025 and all of 2026, we'll still be paying less than what we would have if we would have stayed with Waste Connection currently.
Yeah, and I like the idea of having contracts that we know what the pricing is going to look like. So we as we look at future contracts, I think we'll always try to negotiate like that, where we'll push for a little more and see what we get back on it. The board gave me a little bit of wiggle room on that to argue with them, and I appreciate that. So all right, so that's dumpsters, townhome stuff, new contract kicking in on that, social. pool and we took care of Edward Jones. And of course, the whole thing's recorded. We'll have it available. Is there anything else that you were hoping to discuss this evening? It's 8:10, so I'd like to keep it relatively short if we can.
So quick, I want to talk about the two sinking sidewalks.
Sure.
One by the pool and one directly across from the pool. They're both kind of around where Caprington and Almond Glen main entrance hit. So we've reached out to the county about getting that fixed. We are responsible for the sidewalk. However, if it is an issue with a storm drain system, which occasionally happens if a storm pipe breaks or separates between where the two pipes connect and it's causing a sinkhole, that is the county responsibility. So the county is sending out or have already sent out an inspector to determine if it is a drainage issue. If it's not, fixing that would be something that would fall on us to fix. And I believe that would be a common reserve item because there's a lot of sidewalk in Almond Glen.
Yeah, sidewalks. So my understanding of the plan for the neighborhood back when we first took over was that the sidewalks fell under us. However, when you said you're gonna reach out to the county, I was like, maybe they'll do it. So I didn't interrupt at all. Never stop anybody from making a mistake. If the county wanted to make the mistake, I'd have let them do it. But I saw your thing coming back about it was ours. I'd actually already reached out to a contractor to try to get a price on it because I do walk past that every once in a while, so I know it's there and I've watched it over the years. It's gotten worse, and I'm like, we really need to get this fixed. I don't like it's becoming more of a trip hazard. Um, I was supposed to hear something back. I'm gonna have to reach back out and say, hey, because what I did is I went through the same gentleman who used to live in the neighborhood, who's going to do the work at the pool. He knew a concrete guy and was like, yeah, he'd give you a good price on it, I'm sure. So to get us a good, well, let's start there pricing and then we could go from there. If anybody's got concrete guy they know, sounds like we got a decent amount of concrete that needs to be replaced. So
Yeah, it's going to be probably concrete and dirt compaction and probably
mhm.
gravel,
Yep.
which is looking more like it could be drainage, but I just don't see how there wouldn't be a sinkhole somewhere else if it's
I
a
would
drainage
I would
issue.
expect it to affect the road if it was
Yeah.
actually a drainage issue. And that's why I didn't really think about it being a drain. It didn't even occur to me it was a drain issue. It was a little bit offset from it. I guess it could be, and it could just be under, the road may open up tomorrow, but that's covered by the county. So we're, if you're driving along and all of a sudden your car is at the bottom of a big ditch in Caprington, rest assured the HOA has nothing to do with it. Don't call.
Let me, can you clarify that for me, Rob? Because I think I might be
Yeah.
able the actual streets in Almond Glen. I thought that was part of the reserves was to,
So just the townhome streets.
Yep.
okay.
Just the townhomes and that technically the section of Caperton in front of the townhomes. But again, I'm not going to stop the county from making a mistake. If we had an issue over there, I would call it in, and if they come fix it, cool. But they when they did the reclamation project throughout the neighborhood, nobody was closer to that project than John at the time. And then John was constantly giving updates, so I followed along with it enough. But they reclaimed everything in the neighborhood but the cul-de-sacs themselves. And what it is, they put the roads down, they did construction in the neighborhood, then reclaiming it is where they do reclamation. They come in and they grind up the stuff and they go down a certain distance and they rebuild the roadway in a way that's firm enough and according to the standards at the time. So that's the basics of it. And what they did is they went down to the cul-de-sac and they stopped at the round portion of the cul-de-sac at the end, the cul-de-sac itself. And then when they went up to Caprington, they're like, not our problem here, and they stopped. They did do a repair in one area of Caprington that it had some wavy bumps in it, but I can't remember if the builder had to pay for that or if that was the county that took care of it. But that's the only thing they did on that portion of Caprington. But that's basically if you're walking out of the neighborhood and you were walking up Caprington right about the time you hit the first townhomes, that's where the roadway becomes ours. And then all those roads. But yeah, the rest of the neighborhood, if you're driving along on Caprington and suddenly there's a reverse speed bump that everybody wanted speed bumps for years, well, yeah, you got a reverse one. That would be the county's problem to fix it and your vehicle, not us.
John, I think you got to unmute yourself.
I think the pool parking lot is responsibility for the HOA.
Yeah,
It
all the
is.
parking lots. Yeah, all the parking lots. Yep. All
So,
the parking spaces in the townhomes, all that. Yeah.
And
so I
we're
guess,
lucky.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, we're lucky. I think the pool parking lot's the best asphalt in the neighborhood, better than the roads.
Yeah.
I guess my question then is on Haddington. I know that there's some places that it's actually chipping off, like we're starting to get holes in Haddington. Is that something that we just need to report to the county then?
Yep. Yeah. If there's like speed bump, like not speed bumps, but potholes starting to form, is that what you're saying? Yeah. That just means we're getting good old South Carolina roads. But yeah, you'd report that to the county and they should come fix it.
And what about the curbs?
That is also covered.
Is it? Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
What is not covered, because they sent me over the deed, sidewalks, landscaped areas, medians, stormwater infrastructure outside of the right of way, detention pond, street trees, decorative stamped asphalt or concrete pavers, street lights, or similar items.
I can tell you when we first took it over, they told us that basically the storm drains were all our problem. But then for anybody who was here, when the townhomes suddenly went under, a small river formed in front of the townhomes on Caprington. It was like a large lake, and several people, I think a BMW tried to drive through it and ended up finding out that doesn't work. If I remember correctly, it was BMW. Um, the it was feet of water. What it turned out it was the storm drains were actually just clogged with everything, including dog poop bags. Amazing the number of people that throw dog poop bags into the storm drains. And then they said, well, the reason we do that is because you don't have trash cans around the neighborhood. That makes no sense to my brain. But um, when the storm drains clogged up, the county actually came out and took care of that for us, and I was quite surprised and very happy they did it. So yeah, no argument there. It's better for them. But yeah. So I think concrete guy is something we definitely need. I'm 100% behind that too. I think that's every board member would just for that. So anything else?
Quick question regarding the storm drains. I noticed on my daily dog walk that there is a storm drain where like some of the grates are missing on the drain. Would that be a county thing or an HOA thing?
That
I
would
believe
be
it's
a county thing if it's
yeah.
within the right of way.
Yep. I
So if
believe
it's a
kind of thing
street,
because cars are
yeah, if
hitting
it's a street catch basin, then that is a county problem.
Yep.
Would y'all mind sending me a link so I can report that to the county? Because I feel like that's definitely a hazard for like children and small dogs.
Yep.
Is that the same place that you'd report the pothole and curbs on Haddington? All right.
Yes.
And Chanda, if you don't mind, I've got some pictures from walking Lucy of places that are starting to chip and come apart. Can I send those to you if you can include it all on the same email? Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
And then it comes up every once in a while. So since we're mentioning that, the lights throughout the neighborhood, Duke will replace them. So if there's a light pole out someplace, you just report it right through Duke's website. All right. Anything else?
I think we've covered a
Oh,
lot.
good. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of information there. Like I said I think I'll post it as one big thing, but I will segment this out because there's some really good chunks in here, and I think I could probably get people to take the time to watch a chunk if they knew it was going to cover something that's important to them. And there were several really good things that were updated on tonight. So if anybody has, it's 8:20 and I don't want to go any later tonight. So I think if anybody has anything from tonight that you're like, hey, I have a question, if you just email the board and then we will see if we can get it out in like a public response or something like that. That'd be good going forward. And Matthew just pasted up the My Lancaster departments, public road works, roads and bridges link. So to our chat group. So that's in the board chat. So if nobody else has anything else board wise that you guys want to put out tonight, then we'll go ahead and close the meeting down. I'll give a few seconds for somebody to pop up at the last minute. Extra 5 seconds for Robin to unmute. All right. With
Yeah.
that, there you are. I was gonna make sure you didn't pop in like, wait, and I cut you off.
Nope.
All right. Well, with that said, then we'll call it, and I will motion to adjourn. So everybody have a great night. Thank you for being here.
Bye bye.
Yep.